So welcome to the 3C Recovery Support Training Institute. This is an information session on how to become certified peers in the state of Maryland. For those who may be new to Zoom, throughout the session, you are asked to keep your microphones on mute when you are not speaking. Sometimes we're able to, it's able to pick up the background noise. So it helps us if you could keep your mics on mute when you're not speaking. If you are on a laptop or a computer, a desktop, it's generally in the lower left-hand corner. You'll see that mute and unmute button. And then also to start and stop your camera, the start and stop video is also in the same area. For those who may be on a device, a cell phone or a tablet, there's normally somewhere near the top, both also that mute and video button. I smile because my computer just did an update and things that were at the top and now at the bottom. So it could be anywhere on the screen, but those are what you're looking for. Also throughout the session, if you have questions, there is a raise hand feature. Try to use the raise hand feature because I am recording. There may be times that I can't see everybody all on the screen. So I don't want to miss any questions. And worst case scenario, it's a small group of us. Feel free to unmute yourself and say, "Hey, I have a question." I don't want you to think I'm overlooking you. Sometimes people are waving on the screen for questions, but there is a raise hand feature. Again, on the computer and laptop, it's in the reactions area. And then for those who are utilizing either a tablet or computer, or a cell phone, it'll generally be 3 little dots that says more. And when you click on those, then you'll see the raise hand feature. Any questions about just the general use of Zoom? All right, so hopefully not. For today, I'm sorry, was there a question?
No.
For today, we are going to talk about first, what is peer support? And then we're going to gain some insights on some of those roles and responsibilities of a peer recovery specialist. We're going to discuss the certification process. So what do you need to do in order to become credentialed? And then we'll talk about some career opportunities out there for peers. And then the last thing that's not on there, we're going to leave you just with some information on how to get trainings, how to get signed up for various trainings happening throughout the state. So the very first thing is, what is peer support? So peer support roles include that of supporters, advocates, confidants, mentors and role models, resource brokers, and community organizers. So these are just some of the roles that peers hold. So often individuals may be providing a peer support or working in a peer support role, but it may not be in their title. So someone may be a house manager and say, well, I'm not a peer. But again, are you a supporter? Are you advocating? Are you a confidant? Are you a role model? So you could be utilizing some of those skills in areas that don't have peer support in the title or don't have peer specialists in the title. Often we are flowing in those particular roles. It's important as individuals are coming on to do this work that they understand that wide range of the roles that a peer will have, because often individuals might align a peer role with that of a 12-step sponsor. But it's very different, or it can be, in some ways they're the same, but in some ways they're very different than just being someone's sponsor. So as a supporter, as an advocate, we need to have particular skills in order to support somebody who may be having a mental health crisis. How do you support someone who is dealing with their stages of change? So it's really applying some very specific skills and knowledge to doing the work of a peer support specialist. I think important in the role that sometimes we lose sight of also is that of that role model and mentor, because often, individuals, I want a job where I can tell somebody what to do. Often individuals are going to follow our lead before they follow those things that we're talking about. So we ourselves need to be those role models and mentors for the individuals that we are serving. And then again, the resource broker and community organizer. Any questions about any of those roles listed there? Anything? I want to make sure y'all know what you're signing up for. All right, great. The next, in continuing to talk about what peer support is, this comes from the SAMHSA, which is the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration. That's the federal level of US government. So according to SAMHSA, peer support workers engage in a wide range of activities. These include advocating for people in recovery. So we want to be able to speak up for those who don't have a voice for themselves. And more importantly, we want to teach those who have a voice but haven't learned how to use it, how to speak up for themselves. So advocacy on that small scale for the individual and advocacy for the entire recovery community. What changes do we want to see in our communities, and how do we make these changes come about? So advocating for the people in recovery. The next is sharing resources and building skills. So many of the individuals who serve as peer supporters are individuals with lived experience themselves. So they can share resources of places that they've used, services that they've used, as well as finding out new resources for individuals that they're serving. We want to build community and relationships. So as a peer support specialist, we're building relationships both with the individuals that we're serving and with sometimes those resources that we're getting, just general community organizations. So we become that gap for a lot of individuals, again, in their recovery process. We often lead recovery groups. Those are peer-led groups. And then again, going back to mentoring and setting goals. So how do we help individuals set goals for themselves? How do we help them attain those goals? Often they may have a treatment plan or a recovery plan or a wellness plan that's given to them by someone at work, or someone who's working with them, but they said, then I don't know what to do with this. So how do we help them with setting those goals and reaching their goals and putting some strategies into place? So it's more than just talking to individuals about what we experience in our own recovery, but helping them chart a plan for themselves and holding them accountable to that. Any questions there about the roles of a peer recovery specialist? Okay. So this is a great page if you are one who can take a screenshot. This is a great page to screenshot or write down this information. For certification in the state of Maryland, all of our certification for peers come through the Maryland Addiction and Behavioral Health Professional Certification Board. That is the certification board's website that is listed on the screen. with the /CPRS, it's going to take you directly to the peer page within the certification board's website. So if you put in that long mapcb.wordpress.com/CPRS, is going to take you right to the peer recovery specialist area of the website. That is their admin email, email address. So if you do have questions, feel free to email the certification board, given that email address. The next is their street address or their post office box. So that is not that is a post office box, it's not a physical building. So just FYI, don't think, okay, I'm going to take a ride and just show up at the certification board's site, because there is no physical site, but that is a mailing address for the certification board. And they do also list their phone number should you need to get in contact with the certification board. Many of the questions that individuals will have as they're going through the certification process can be answered on that, and I'm going to share it with you for a quick moment, can be found on their, wrong thing, sorry. Can be found on their website. So the page that I was talking about, this is their certification board's web page. And when you put in the CPRS, it brings you right to the peer recovery section. And again, everything that all of your questions, if you keep scrolling down, are probably going to be answered. The most important thing is this application. It's the second thing from the top, is the CPR application. So clicking on the application, you can actually read every step. You don't have to worry about somebody told you something incorrectly. You can go and read it for yourself. Now, this is a long application, it's 30 pages, but again, most of the answers, most of the questions that you have will be answered somewhere within those 30 pages. So don't go on what people tell you, actually read it for yourself. Any questions?
Yes. Can you go back to the about so I could take a picture?
Sure. That's the page you were trying to get?
No, I got that one already.
What?
I think she's talking about the one before that.
The one after.
I haven't gone after this yet. It's this, which I haven't gotten to yet.
No, the one for the application.
That's that is this website that's right here.
Okay.
So if you go to this website, the mapcb.wordpress.com/CPRS, I was just showing you once you go there what it's going to look like.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So other application requirements. Individuals who are looking to become certified in Maryland have to be at least 18 years or older, have 2 years in recovery. They must have a high school diploma, GED, or their college transcript. I often tell individuals, sometimes getting your transcripts and getting things from the school might take some time. So start it now. You don't need to wait until, oh, did I take all my classes? You might want to get that process started now, just in case it's delayed. There are 4 essay questions on the application. Again, if you go in that application, you can read those. They're short. You don't have to write a long book, but in those essays, they ask about your recovery experience, your experience with behavioral health. Why do you want to do this work? So, really think about what has been your experiences and what call do you feel to do this work, so that you can frame your essay questions. There are references that are required. There are going to be both professional and personal references that you can provide. Again, go to the website, download the application now. The sooner you have it, the better, so that you can familiarize yourself with it. And once you're ready, we'll talk about the other requirements. Once you're ready, there is a $125 application fee that you have to submit before you can test, before you can take the test to become certified. Any questions about the general requirements? Charles, yes.
So with the application, can you hear me?
I can, yes.
Okay, so with the what you just showed on the screen, is that part of what the classes start Monday, or that's something separate?
Okay, so there are 100 classes happening. So I don't know what class what you're talking about that's starting Monday. I don't know what you're if my company is not doing it, I may not be aware of it. So
okay, it's some classes that starting wow. I supposed to start some classes Monday. I don't even know where.
Who is offering the class?
Okay, I think I have it right here. Wow. What did I do? Oh, I did. Man, are you serious? I gotta find out what I did with it.
Carlos, if you could keep your phone on mute when you're not speaking, I keep muting you and you keep unmuting. We're hearing the background
okay.
noise.
I do have it. It's it's through the University of Maryland. It's a CCAR recovery coach training. That's different.
No, the Recovery Coach Academy is one of the core trainings. Yes.
Okay, that's what I was asking. So the 125, is that different, or you had to pay that now? Because I'm supposed to start the classes Monday.
No, so you pay the 125. You're not ready to, you're just starting. So you're not ready to submit your application. So you submit your application when you're ready to become certified. If you're just starting classes, you're not ready to be certified yet.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you. That's all I wanted to ask.
Yes. So Carlos, did you have a question? Was that why you were unmuting? Now you're, now that is your time, Carlos, now you're not unmuting. You have to unmute now if you want to. Go ahead.
Somebody with alarm went off, that's why.
Okay. All right. So after we have dealt with our basic requirements, let's talk about education, which Charles was leading to. So in order to become certified, in order to test, so first you got to pass the test to become certified, there are educational requirements. So as you are signing up for classes, make sure that you are writing down the name of the class and the number of CEUs you receive for that class, as well as the breakdown of those CEUs, because you will need 10 CEUs or continuing education units in advocacy. You'll need 16 in ethics, 10 in mentoring and education, and 10 in recovery wellness. And of all of the CEUs that you're collecting, at least one class has to be a core training. So the training that Charles was talking about that he's a part of on Monday, that is the CPRS Recovery Coach Academy. And that is one of the core trainings. It's probably the most popular core training in Maryland at this time, but that is just one of, I want to say 4 core trainings that you can take in order to become certified. So what you'll have to do is track the classes that you've taken, the dates that you've taken the class, who you took the class with, and most importantly, the number of CEUs you receive in each domain. So in your class, whatever class you sign up for, whoever is instructing probably can tell you what that breakdown of the CEUs for whichever class that you're taking. So as you sign up for classes, one of the things that what we do at our organization is on our announcements, we try to put the breakdown of the CEUs on the announcement. That doesn't always happen, but that's generally our goal. Sometimes we're working in partnership with others, and yeah. Any questions about the requirements, the class requirements, or the CEUs?
Mr. Moore,
Yes.
if you don't mind, I was just trying to get the last part. It was what, one core training? That's what it was?
Yes, you already
I have
said, because you're
everything else.
taking it on, you're
Right.
taking it on Monday. Yep.
Right, okay.
Yep.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Terrell.
Yes.
This is Curtis. We, when we did our training with y'all did send us the breakdown, right? On that email.
So I do a lot. When you said, when we did the training for y'all, who is the y'all? What are you talking?
When I can't pronounce his name.
What group were you with, Curtis?
From the October 1st till, oh my God.
So not when was it? What group were you with? I teach for Baltimore County. I teach for University of Maryland. I teach for, so I do a lot of teaching. So what group were you with?
Was it Bach? Was it the Bach group?
The Bach group. Okay.
Yeah.
So yes. So what is your question about Bach group?
When you sent us the email when we took the test, because I knew you seen emails, was ours broke down in your email?
Yes.
Okay,
Now a lot of classes you take, they're not going to do that for you. It's your responsibility to track your own. But for classes that I teach, I try to support people. Right. But now don't go to another class and tell them why did they do that. That's not a standard. It's your responsibility.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All righty. So in regards to getting trainings or receiving trainings, there are a few places, and this is not all. If you are not on BHA, the Behavioral Health Administration listserv, you can contact Adelaide Weber at maryland.gov, adelaide.weber@maryland.gov, and ask to be placed on the BHA's listserv. So and that's Behavioral Health Administration of Maryland, as they sponsor and not even just sponsor, but as they know about any trainings, they send it out on the listserv. On their listserv, they send out just information of conferences and things happening in recovery around the state. You'll also get job listings from the listserv. So you can get more bang for your buck by joining the BHA listserv, because they cover a wider range of information that they send out. From Behavioral Health Systems Baltimore, they have a training link. Oh, and it copied the name and not the link. So I'm gonna put it in the I'm gonna put it in the chat box. I thought it had the full thread with the HTTP number on it. So for both BHSB, which is Behavioral Health Systems Baltimore, and the Maryland Addiction and Behavioral Professional Certification Board, both have links to their training page. So if you go to either site's training page, it will give you a list of all upcoming trainings that they have. And I'm sorry that HTTP is not listed, and I'm gonna put it in the chat box for those who are able to. Yeah, I thought it copied right from the, hold on. When copying and pasting goes wrong. So, and it still did the, all right, I'm gonna have to pull it up later and then I'll put those in the chat box. Let me see if it did the same for MAB PCB. Yeah, for some reason it's not, the link is not copying and pasting correctly. So I will add that in a few moments. And then I'll also be showing you our email listserv if you want to join our listserv. So after you, or in addition to receiving your education hours, you also need to have 500 service or practicum hours. You need to have at least 500 hours of actually doing the work. So once you've completed 500 hours, wherever you have worked and or volunteered, they will just produce a letter on that organization's letterhead that stated that you completed the hours with them for peer certification. Within that letter, individuals, the organization can share a little bit about the type of work that you were doing, because often, again, the words peer specialist may not be in the title, but you may still be doing the work. So they would want to explain a little bit about the work that you were doing. That 500 hours can be from one location or from multiple locations. So if some individuals might be working part-time. So, they said by the time it takes me to get 500 hours, that's gonna take too long. So they might volunteer also a couple hours a week in order to reach that 500. So what they would do is where they're working, they would get a letter that said, I've completed 350 hours. And where they're volunteering, maybe a separate letter that said they've completed 150. As long as the two or more than two equal up to 500 hours, you are good. But 500 practicum or service hours. And it's important that it has to be doing the work of a peer. So you can't say, well, I was working at a treatment center, but I was the receptionist. Although that's great, we need that service as well. That is not the work of a peer. So you have to be in the role so you can be learning sort of on that job learning as you are getting some practice at doing the work. In addition, or within the 500 hours are 25 supervised hours. Those 25 supervised hours have to be signed off by a registered peer supervisor. So the person that you report to on the job may or may not be a registered peer supervisor. They have to be a registered peer supervisor with the same certification board that is going to give you credentials as a peer. So you can check the website, again, on their certification board's website for individuals who are registered peer supervisors. And, maybe if you don't have one on the job, you can, encourage someone where you are serving to become a RPS so that they can sign off on those 25 hours. For individuals that we train who may be working or volunteering at a place where there is no registered peer supervisor, we do offer a weekly group supervision for those individuals. And we do offer a weekly group supervision. If you would mute yourselves, Anthony. Thank you. Those 525 hours will be broken out into the 5 domains, well, actually into 4 domains, and self-care, or self-care being that 5th domain is the same domains we talked about when we looked at the education and requirements, is advocacy, ethics, mentoring and education, and recovery wellness are the 4. And then the 5th area is in self-care, because it's important that as we're doing this work, that we're taking care of ourselves so that we don't experience compassion fatigue and burnout. Any questions about the 500 service hours or the supervised hours?
Okay, 500 hours, right? I worked as a house manager, but I wasn't just a house manager. I was helping the peers with the applications for housing and TDAT and everything. I did all of it. even did missions and stuff like that. Would that qualify?
During that time, had you already started taking classes to become a peer?
No.
Okay, so you can't count that time from behind, because how would you have applied what you learned in your peer classes to that work if you hadn't started taking classes yet? So unfortunately, it has to be, after you've started your education process. Elaine?
Hi, Tyrell.
Hello.
Do you offer peer supervision supervisor classes, trainings for that?
Not for people who want to be peers. If they want to be a supervisor themselves, those classes are offered through the certification board and through University of Maryland Training Center. My organization, we do not do peer supervision classes. We do the refresher class, but not the initial class. So we do a class for individuals who are already supervisors and they need their refresher. But yeah, we don't have our own course yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. We will, so keep a lookout. That's in the plans. All right.
How often do the supervisors have to refresh the course?
Supervisors have to research, I think every 2 years as well.
Okay.
Just like the peers have to certify every 2 years, supervisors have to certify every 2 years.
Okay. That was my next question.
Anthony, did you have a question? Yes.
Yes. Because I don't know years. Well,
Anthony, I'm not sure if you can hear me. I'm going to place you on mute. You're in an area that doesn't have a strong connection. So everything you're saying is breaking up. If you can hear me, you can type your questions into the chat box because your connection isn't a strong connection. So yeah, if you can hear me, Anthony, type that in the chat box if you can. All right. So now that we've talked about the both the education and the practicum hour requirements, let's look at some of the jobs for peers. So peers actually are working in various areas. We're not just in treatment centers anymore, in the juvenile justice system, in drug court, in hospital settings, in emergency rooms, doing outreach. There have peers who totally focus on outreach and advocacy. So a number of different areas where peers are serving, and because where they serve is such a varied field, the rates in which people get paid also vary. But I would encourage individuals to think about when you're going after jobs, think about where you would best serve. So think about an emergency room. Those who are peers in the emergency room, they are meeting individuals in a crisis situation. They're generally then helping the person get receive services after they leave that emergency room setting. And then they're sort of that one and done. They're not peers who are generally building long-lasting relationships with the individuals they're serving. It's sort of that quick crisis, acute care, and then they're on to the next. If you are the personality where building relationships over time is important, and you want to really be a part of that person's longer term process, then probably working in that, that particular emergency room setting may not be a good fit for you. You may better be served, let's say in a drug court or in a treatment center, where you are spending more time and will have more time with the individual. Thinking about outreach, you know, if you are to the point where you can't stand all day, you have back issues, maybe getting a job as outreach may not be the best, you know, job for you, because they are standing in the cold, in the summer, in the heat, in all kinds of weather. So don't just consider the rate of pay, because often, you know, we go after jobs because I want, you know, I want to get paid. However, also think about how that, how you would serve in that job and what is ultimately the best fit for you. So let's see here. Anthony put his question. I don't know what a CIT is. I don't know what any of, so are you talking about you were some type of counselor? Because if you're asking, okay, so you're asking about how you become a recovery coach specialist. So that's just the title. The title of a recovery coach specialist, peer specialist, those are just titles. The certification is a certified peer recovery specialist. On the job where you work, they might call you a recovery coach, they might call you a house manager, they might call you a whatever, peer support. So don't get, that's just the title of that, what that job is calling it. The certification is a certified peer recovery specialist in the state of Maryland. So you have people running around, I'm a certified recovery coach. I'm not here in Maryland, you're not. Maryland has one credential, certified peer recovery specialist. Whether they call you a recovery coach, recovery support specialist, support specialist, all of the rest of those are just titles. But what we're talking about now today is how do you become a certified peer recovery specialist in the state of Maryland. So everything that I'm talking about now is how you become a, when you put recovery coach specialist, how to become certified in Maryland as a peer. All right.
I was interested in the hospital setting because my sister did that for 10 years as a certified peer recovery specialist. Certified. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yes.
I like to follow her footsteps. Yeah.
Okay. Where did she serve?
At Mercy.
At Mercy? Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't even know they had peers down there at Mercy.
Yeah, Grant opened up the field, and she was like one of the first ones. And they needed them, and they provided free training and everything. She's like the first two people that graduated, got a certification.
Awesome, awesome.
Be in the right place at the right time.
So I wanted to look at two very different sort of rates of pay and how they're structured. These particular job announcements, these are old ones here from 2019, but these both come through Maryland Department of Health, who actually supports a lot of our local health departments. So you'll see, you know, Anne Arundel County Health Department hiring. You might see Baltimore County Health Department hiring for peers. And often a lot of the rates across those counties will basically come in line with what they get from the Maryland Department of Health. So here, and then they have rankings for their particular peer position. So here you'll see they have jobs here in Washington County that were ranging anywhere from $13 to $17 an hour. And then in Dorchester County for a peer position, anywhere from $30,000 up to about $47,000. So you'll see there's a wide range of, again, of the salaries. And it really is going to be based on what that organization is able to afford. So unfortunately, a lot of the smaller startups or mom and pop, I don't like using the term mom and pop, But the smaller nonprofits, a lot of the smaller nonprofits just don't have the budget to pay at some of the higher rates. So they are often, might be a little bit lower. But again, don't turn down the job just based on the rate, knowing that there's a lot of progressive movement within peer work and within behavioral health. Christina.
Hi, I'm actually working at University of Maryland right now at as a peer recovery coach.
Okay.
And they do, like, a lot of places do grant funding. So
Yes.
that's what you're speaking about, right?
Yeah.
That's what I was told. A lot of peer, it's all based
Grant
on grants.
funding.
They have a set pay. It's a set
Right.
pay. So I was like, well, if I became supervised, would my pay go up? But I guess that's why they were only hiring for peer recovery coaches. If you
At
instead
the
of
time. Right. Yeah, because we don't, we don't have it in the budget. Now,
Right.
one of the push that's out there is to have peer services as Medicaid billable. When we are able to bill for the services, then we'll probably start to see some change in some of those rates. But right now in Maryland, the organizations cannot bill for the services that peers are providing. That's going to change because it needs to. The work of the peer is very important. So it just has to go through the process.
I noticed on those job offers that said peer specialist certificate 1, level 1, and level 2. What's the difference between level 1 and level 2?
So that's going to be determined by that particular organization or that particular. So they will set, if you are a level 1, this is just for an example. They may say for a level 1, this is somebody who has, just started their peer. They only been doing the work for about a year. The level 2 is somebody who comes in with this more experience. They may have a specialty area that they serve in. So they will determine for them what their level 1, level 2, or as Christina said, where she was, they got a grant. So it's everybody's the same. We're all just peer specialists. So
one is like an entry level, and
could
two
be,
is
could be.
yeah.
It could be entry level or different skill set. They might be asking for a skill set for 1, and then a whole different skill set for a 2.
Right. Okay.
Any other questions about pay and or the types of positions as a peer? Right. So for me, this is the most important screen because in the meantime and between time, what do you need to be doing? So while you're waiting to get on that list, to sign up for that class, to start doing those service hours, I lend to a quote or borrow from a quote from Malcolm X says, "The future belongs to those who prepare for it today." So I will first acknowledge that this is a lot of information to grasp. I see individuals on here who has been in informational sessions before, but I understand coming back because, oh my God, there's so much, make sure I didn't miss anything. So we have to prepare for the learning. So as you are signing up for classes, again, because you are going to be responsible for tracking the classes that you take, there is no magical place in the sky that is keeping records of the classes you've taken. I'm gonna say that again. There's no magic out there that's keeping track of your classes. I get calls all the time. I took a class with you 3 years ago, and so like Curtis was just saying. So we have, when I'm teaching, probably on average, I'm teaching 2 or 3 different classes a week. The same week that Curtis was in the class, and I don't even know if Bach was in the morning. I did a morning class that was from 9 to 2, and then I did an evening class that was from 4 to 8. So, call me and saying, I took a class from you on this week or whatever. I don't know what class you took. We had 30 people in his class, 25 people in another class. So you have to track the classes you take. So write down the name of the class. Know the name of the class that you've taken. CCAR is the name of the organization. Often people say, I took the CCAR class with you. CCAR has CCAR Recovery Coach Academy. They have CCAR Ethics. They have CCAR Professionalism. They have CCAR Spirituality. They have CCAR Culture Vision. So when you tell me you took the CCAR class with me, I don't know which one. So make sure you're writing down the name of the classes you're taking.
Okay.
And is it Devin or Devon? I don't want to screw up any names.
It's Devon.
Devon.
But my question, what's the name of this training? Because I had got my first PRC from CAR, and I'm just trying to know the name of this training.
So this is not a training. This is just an information session. You're not getting any CEUs. This is just where we explain the process to become certified.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So also, as you are taking your classes, decide how you are going to keep all of your certificates. So way back when I first got started, I have a certificate in here from 2012. I had a binder, and in the binder, I put these little plastic inserts. So as I took classes, I would take that and put it in here. Because you may move, things may happen, and then you can't find your class, and then you're calling the facilitator. If you're calling me in the middle of the day, I'm probably teaching another class, so I can't stop what I'm doing and even support you in the moment. So, if you want to keep a physical copy, and my physical copy only went up to a few years because then I started keeping everything digitally. So there are platforms like OneDrive, Google Drive. I'm sure some others out there. Those are the two probably most popular ones where you can set up and save all of your files together, all of your certifications, your certificates together. Because when you go to submit your application, you're going to need to also send a copy of all of your certificates. So if you keep them all in one location, when it's time to, do your application, you won't have, issues trying to find it this one place. Where did I put it? Where was it? If you keep everything together. So again, that's just a suggestion. Also, as you're taking classes, for each national training organization, more than likely, you will have to set up a user ID and a password. So CCAR uses ProTrax. So you'll have to set up a user ID and password for ProTrax. Mental health first aid, literally, they're just rolling theirs out. So I don't know the name, but if you've taken mental health first aid in the past, you're blessed, because going forward, anybody else will have to go onto their site, register and enroll. So for these different sites, the parameters are not always the same. So, okay, I'm gonna use the same password for everything. Well, this one says you have to use, uppercase and lowercase. This one says you also have to use a special character. With the CCAR system, not just a special character, but it's limited to special characters. So if you're used to using an exclamation mark, you might have to then switch that to a pound. So pay attention to those passwords. Keep them, again, listed all in one place. Generally, when I'm teaching a class, if I'm teaching the ethics class, I tell people to write it in front of that ethics book. Write your user ID and password down. If I'm teaching RCA, right? Because generally, then if you have questions, you're going to go to your book, hopefully, and then you'll have everything all together. And lastly, what I'll say about in the meantime, in between time, think about other ways in which you can enhance your skills to serve others. So while you're taking classes that you need for a CEU in order to become certified, there may also be other professional development classes out there that will help you serve the community better. Because even if it doesn't have a CEU attached to it, learning how to handle conflict resolution is an important role. And there are going to be 2 classes coming out that have conflict resolution. We're doing one where you can get CEUs. But the point is, sometimes people only sign up for a class if they're going to get a CEU. But think about, given the job that I have, it could be a safety class. If you're doing outreach, take a community safety class. You might not get a CEU, but you'll learn some things about how to be out there and keep yourself safe while you're dealing, with the public, because sometimes we don't even think about certain things. So also think about other classes that will enhance you in your service. So I've covered a lot. I know that was a lot. What are your questions, thoughts? Did I scare anybody away? Go ahead, Charles.
Okay, Mr. Moore. Question. Okay, how often does different certifications come up to take your go up, keep going up in the field? You understand what I'm saying? Like now we starting off at ground level. So how often do they take, tests come up where you can move up and also your pay grade go up?
So in Maryland, there's just one certification. So you won't, so the job itself may have different levels, but Maryland recognizes you become a certified peer recovery specialist, you're a certified peer recovery specialist. They do have what they call endorsements. So right now they have the family endorsement. So once you're certified, you can take the family endorsement classes. So, you can go and serve that particular population, families and allies of individuals in recovery. But I can't say that it's going to give you a bump up in your pay. It really depends again on that place where you're serving. You can also become a registered peer supervisor if you want to think of that as a different level. After you have been certified for at least a year, then you can take a registered peer supervisor class to become a registered peer supervisor. Now, just because you take it, that doesn't mean your job is automatically going to say, okay, now we're promoting you to supervisor, or, now, we have an opportunity. What that does is prepare you if and when an opportunity presents itself that you can apply for the position, but it doesn't automatically move you into a different pay range. Other questions?
So basically,
Yeah, you made a mistake and muted yourself. Go ahead.
I'm unmuted now, right?
Yes.
Okay, I'm basically just saying it stays the same. It's just that you had the recertification every 2 years, and it's based upon the experience as far as like moving up on the job, right? Did you say that?
Yes. So, this one particular organization, let's say you're working for Baltimore County Health Department. So you might start off as a peer working in the office or working on their warm line. So you're just answering calls, and as you get more experience, they move you up within their system to now you're going out and serving individuals. So that may come with a little pay bump. And then after being there and doing that, they may say, now we have a position within the detention center. And because of course, that's generally in a more vulnerable position, that might come with a slight pay increase. So the organization themselves may have scales and ways for you to move up.
Yeah. Okay, I got you. No problem.
Right. Who else? What other questions do you have? No?
No.
All right. So again, I will end here as you are signing up for classes. Again, pay attention to the classes that you're signing up for. A lot of the classes now are, because of grants and different things, individuals are able to tap into for free. In order to sustain that, we need to sort of put some accountability on participants. What am I talking about? So we have a listserv of 500 people. We had 47 people sign up for this information session today. And you see, we have had 9 people on here. So what happens often is people sign up for classes real quick, sign up for stuff. I didn't read what it was. So I just saw it said the word period and I just signed up for it. Read, know what you're signing up for. So again, so that you're clear, and let's say you sign up for something real quick and then you realize your boss said, no, you can't take off that day. Be so kind to go back and cancel that class, or contact the, most places on the announcement is going to have a contact person or a contact email address. Send the information to that contact and say, hey, I can't make it, so that they can give that spot to someone else. Because how grants work, grant said we're paying for 30 people. Well, we're not going to keep paying that same price and only 5 people are showing up.
Exactly.
So, you know, we might say, well, we don't care because as long as I got in, but we are going to hurt future generations if we are not mindful. So as you are signing up for classes, you know, make sure you know what you're signing up for. You know, if you've already taken it, yeah, let somebody else in that spot. You know, I just want to take it because I want a refresher. Well, if you really just want that refresher, are you willing to pay for it? Because there are classes out there that charging. But, you know, just some things sort of to be mindful, not just of ourselves, but of others, because our actions do impact or will impact the overall movement. Any other questions? I believe that most that are on here are probably already on the 3C Recovery Support Trainings listserv. Those are the trainings that we generally are sponsoring and a part of. We send those out on our listserv. If you have a camera phone, a smartphone, and you hold it up to the QR code, it'll take you to our email listserv in order to sign up to make sure that you are getting our emails when we are doing trainings. And I think, I know some of you are already on there, so. All right, so we had a small group today, so not a lot of questions. So you all kept us to an hour versus an hour and a half. So hopefully you'll go and do something good for yourself for that hour, for that half hour that you got back. That's it. I'll hang around for a little bit if anybody have any additional questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Tyrell,
Yes.